I'm here with Roy Rodriguez, and we're going to talk about paper today. Is the best person to talk about paper. Roy, please take a moment and introduce yourself and the company you represent.
Roy Rodriguez. My real name's Rogelio Rodriguez.
Rogelio.
First generation American, and but I go by Roy. And I've been actually, I think I was the first one to graduate from college in my entire family.
Wow.
I think that I broke that record, so that was cool. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've had multiple businesses, but the one that has really stuck with me and my family is the paper business. And I've been doing this since 1998. And I've had other businesses as well. I've been in the back when I was even in right before college, we were selling computers. We were selling parts for computers, and before that, when I was a real little kid, I would when we would go to Mexico, I'd buy candies and sell them at the schools, probably without my teacher's permission. So I've always done. I sold pottery as well. I've been in the freight business, in the nightclub business, and what other businesses? Little bit of real estate as well. But the one that has really stuck with me has just been the paper business, and I've been doing it now for, I guess, over 25 years.
Wow. Pottery business sounds interesting. I come from a city in Poland that is famous, world famous for pottery. Maybe you've even seen it somewhere. I think at one point, US FBI office somewhere ordered some pottery custom made for them. It's like white and blue, and it's yeah, maybe, but that's for another story. So my whole family
Probably
kind of, yeah.
very high end pottery compared to what I was selling.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of them get they do like those special editions where it can be pricey for a set of, for your cup of coffee, can become very pricey for sure. But funny that you said that you're the first person really in your family to graduate. I'm the first to not graduate in my family. So
Okay, wow, all right.
it's not a humble brag. It's I shouldn't probably have said it, but I guess in 2025, it's okay to say it and not feel bad about that. So we'll see how that's gonna play out in my career. But yeah, that's funny. Now take us back 1998. I do not remember that time. I was alive, but I don't remember that time. Other than France winning World Cup, if I remember, if I have some memory there in
Oh,
soccer.
wow.
What made you start the business? You started with your father. So what happened 1998 that moved you towards paper? And by the way, paper, we don't mean any dollars or pesos. We just mean paper, actual paper.
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
unless I don't know something that you can tell me.
Yeah, well, I haven't got that far yet, but no, I well, that's actually one of my slogans. Let's make more paper, and that means two things, right? Because we are business to business. So really, the whole paper business is not something that I chose. Oh wow, I love paper. This is something that I'm really passionate about, and it's something
Yeah.
that I want to do. But since my dad, when he came to the United States in 1972, actually he got here before then, but we started in farming and ranching, and my father soon figured out that he did not like to be in the heat, and he did not like to be around wild animals and tractors. So he said, you know what, I'm just going to go to the city and go find me a job in the see what I could find. And he ended up just getting a job at a printing company, and that's when printing was huge. It was massive. It was kind of like what the cell phone is today. That's how people communicated. And he did that, and he raised a family. What I considered was a very uh, he we didn't have money by any means, but we definitely were not poor.
Mm.
He raised us very, very, very well in lower income, I guess you could, blue collar. But man, he did pretty good with our family, and that's how he got familiar with the paper business. And I would just always hear him talking about paper, and he was doing a lot of international deals back in the day. And I just thought I was fascinated more than anything with the international trade side of the business. And when NAFTA, that came into play. There was just, I saw that there was just going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity. It was just kind of, I was, like I said, I was doing those other businesses back then, trying out some different things. But the paper just seemed to be selling. It would almost sell itself as long as we had the product, which we did. And then my father had the relationships, and I just kind of came into the picture and started meeting some of his connections and just started networking. And that's what I was good at. I was good at the networking part, the sales part, the vision part, putting myself out there, not really caring, and just talking to as many people as I could, get to know as many people as I could. Using the skills that I did learn in college, putting myself out there, because it was very different back in the day. If you got a job, like let's say at a big company, which I worked at UPS, man, let's just put it. I was able to get a job at UPS, and while I was in college, and there was just not a lot of Hispanics that worked there. I was one of the. I'm not going to say I was the only one, but man, there was very very few. And then when I got there, man, I got a bunch of my friends into that company, and some of them still work there. But it was just very very different back then. And then also, even in college, there was back in the '96s, '94s, there was just not a lot of Latinos in college. We would go in and we try it out, but we would never get out of junior college. And somehow, I was kind of like my dad in that same regard, that he went to go work in the ranches and the farms, and that wasn't for him. Well, actually, I started. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go work like at a factory or do something in construction, or I wanted to be an entrepreneur without studying. And I found out pretty quick that starting at the bottom is pretty hard to come up if you don't have a degree, or if you don't have the connections. Or it was just very very different back then, the way that it is now. And I'll tell you something crazy is that, yeah, I'll say that I was the first one to graduate from college. But I told my son just recently graduated from high school, from private school, and I said, look, if you don't have to go to college if you don't want to. There's just so many tools out there now with technology, that don't go and spend your money. Now, if you want to go party, have a good time, and get a degree, which is degrees like the number one, and everything else goes with it, go ahead. We'll pay for it. It's not going to be, I'll support it, but you don't have to. So, and he's like, no, I think I want to go. And now he's like in a fraternity and just doing a bunch of other things. He's doing very, very well in college. But I think there's a lot of other ways to make a living and be very, very, if not extremely successful, without having that degree.
I agree with that, definitely. And I feel like when you sold him on party and then the degree, he understood the first part, and he was like going there.
Exactly.
Probably just found it interesting enough when you started selling him on the vision there. But let's see how that plays out. Hopefully, he's gonna end up with a beautiful degree and good times and good memories. This is one thing I obviously didn't have a chance to experience. And when I hear friends and family members that did, those were good days, and they'll always remember those days, with lots of fun, but also studying was part of it as well. And so in the beginning, and then when you the first few years, what were the challenges back then? Obviously, it was completely different times, beginning of the digitalization of anything, beginning of the dot-com era. That was way before any tech innovations, I believe. So what were the challenges back then?
That back then, it was everything was completely different than that is now. And you would think that, oh my gosh, 25 years ago. Well, no, actually, it is a long time, but technology completely has changed humanity, probably for the better. And obviously, I call when I grew up kind of like the Goldilocks years, because we had TV, we had cars, we had telephones, but it wasn't. We didn't have like the cell phone, right? That we're always on our cell phone, and that's just the way it is now. Um, but back then, when I graduated from college, and maybe that's what kind of kept me in the business, that technology, the paper business had peaked, and technology was coming up. And as technology was coming up, the paper started going down. So there was less and less printing companies there out there in the market. There was less. A lot of people were failing because people are like, "Look, I'm just going to start. I'm going to print less and then start using this internet. I don't even know how to use it, but I'm going to start using the internet." And emails were coming up, and just everything started changing with the cell phone. So that, in a way, help us advance, you should say, or at least maintain and continue to make pretty good strides, because there was nobody coming into the business. At that point, it was shrinking. So, and that sometimes barriers to entry in business is a big deal, and it can really make or break you. And in our case, we figured we made it over the hump. And there was a lot of grit, definitely, between my father and I did lose my father during COVID, and but we worked together for over 20 years. So, hey, did I lose you? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, back there. Yeah.
We worked together very, very well. We built up a really good business. So it was something that we were able to use to our advantage. So to say that there was challenges, there was really, since we started the company from zero, it was just kind of like there was no way you can't go down lower. It was only up. So that was really, the grit and the hard work, which is still now, if something has not changed in society and in business, is hard work, dedication, passion, all that, working smart, that hasn't changed. So if you're able to put in the hours, put in the time, whatever you do, and just continue and just be relentless, and hopefully it's a good idea. It's a product people want, but it's not easy. It's competitive. That just takes time. Even if you're able to grow a business the way I have and the experiences that I have, I felt like again, now that if I can go back and talk to the old Roy, talk to the young Roy, and something that I could tell myself, it's like, look, when these opportunities present themselves, you need to identify them and not take them for granted, because a lot of the times there's so many things that are just kind of falling on your lap, falling on your lap, falling on your lap. Sometimes you just get a little complacent with that. Now, obviously, I didn't get too complacent, but I kind of look back and say, man, I should have nurtured this relationship a lot better, or I should have taken it. If somebody gave me this opportunity, I should have taken that opportunity. When I had this really good customer that I had, that was our customer, I wish I would have done things different to not have lost that customer, because now those customers are very, very large. And it's once you lose a customer, believe it or not, you can get them back, but it's sometimes they don't want to talk to you again, because they've already found somebody that's taking care of them, and know that the secret, right, that you cannot take your customer for granted, and somebody's going to step in and take care of them if I didn't.
Yeah. You answered one of my last questions, but way too early. What would be the advice to your younger self? And that's a good point, and it sparked my curiosity there, because how does one seize, not seize, but how does one identify an opportunity? I mean, right now there's so many different ways. Like we talk about for the new generations that is coming. There's so many different ways. You have AI, you have electrification of everything. You have globalization. You can live pretty much everywhere you want, most parts of the world. You can get into any industry you want. You don't necessarily have to spend years getting a degree and then starting from the bottom. You can do both if you wanted to. There's so many opportunities. But how does one seize what's for you, and how to not allow it to pass by? That's
Well,
something there.
remember what I said earlier, that it's going to be harder for your younger generation than us, the way we had it. It's more challenging to identify those opportunities, really, because back then the internet was new. There was no Google. There was no Apple. There was no Amazon. There was no Microsoft, was barely coming. So now you got these huge mega corporations run by oligarchs, which nothing, I have nothing against them, but they're cornering the market. So even with AI, I sit there and I ponder like how can I take advantage of AI, and where can I get a competitive edge? And it's really hard to get that competitive edge nowadays with technology. So I think that technology is going to be there to be used as a tool, but you younger people are going to have to get more innovative and rely back kind of on what I was telling you, in building those relationships with people and nurturing those relationships. And really, when you do get a relationship, like I know you know me now, we met each other, we're doing this together. Who knows? Maybe our paths will cross again one another time, and we can collaborate on something else, and just build on that. Figuring out ways to use your network, because I don't know how all this technology, how you can capitalize on it. I sit there and it keeps me awake at night sometimes, because I'm missing something other than buying stock and just waiting for, certain, just buy stock into those companies, because it just, other than that, how else do you join the party?
Yeah, no, we never in history had the moment where you can have, I wanted to call them investors, but because that's another industry like the blockchain and metaverse and cryptocurrency, where you have 15 to 20-year-olds millionaires out of nowhere making so much money. And yeah, I mean, there's the opportunities are there for sure, but I feel like it's going to be extremely hard for anyone to like find themselves in it, in this new world. So yeah, it's going to be interesting how this plays out. But back to the company that you started back in 1998. Who do you serve now, and what do you, because it's an interesting industry, paper, when we have digitalization everywhere. Who do you primarily serve, and when those clients and customers come to you, what problems do they usually have that you are solving for them?
Yeah, so our company, if you saw the videos on our website, interconpapersolutions.com, or Intercon Paper, um, so you'll see a bunch of machines. And really, the way we positioned ourselves and where we worked really, really hard at was becoming the most competent paper converter, servicing people that are still printing, people that are making envelopes, people that are making corrugated boxes, people that are, what else do people that are actually making the tube and cores that you wouldn't even think of. Let me see if I've got a little. No, I usually have samples, but on this roll of paper, how there's this brown.
Yeah.
We supply this, and believe it or not, there's a lot of tons, thousands and thousands upon thousands of tons that go into
Wow.
this. Not just this pretty paper that now here in the United States we can't live without. But if I don't have that paper in my house, oh man, it's might as well. It's like not having electricity. It seems like it's a commodity that we're definitely blessed to have in the United States. And so the way we positioned ourselves is to be able to have the equipment, because rolls of paper are extremely heavy. We handle rolls here that are 6, 7, 8,000 pounds, 9,000 pound rolls. So really, really big rolls, and you have to have special equipment. And that special equipment, well, it's easy to go buy, $150,000 piece of equipment that's going to move those rolls around. That's the easy part. But the hard part is you don't need one. You need like five of those
Mm.
machines, and just to keep up, because you have to have economies of scale. You have to have X amount of volume to be able to pay your bills, cover your overhead, blah blah blah. So it takes a lot of equipment to do that, and not only that, you have to maintain it. So the machinery, that specialized machinery that we use, we've learned over these years that there's certain types of maintenance that's required, certain types of expertise that's required within the organization to maintain that fleet that's internally services the company. Because we don't have those roll grabbers,
Mm.
we're out of business. I can't run my nothing moves in our building without all the equipment. It's almost like all the equipment needs to be running in sync in order for this business to work. And my business is not like, it's not no different than any other business, but it's got its unique types of equipments that expertise, knowledge, the right people. So we've been able to build on that, and to where I hate to say that we don't really have any competitions, but there's not really anybody that does everything that we do as a package in terms of, you know, bringing in the paper by rail cars of paper, unloading them. Not only that, but we also have the software that manages this whole business. And that was something that back when my business started growing, I had to hire people that had been in the industry for a long time, and like, hey, teach me the business, teach me the next steps. This is I did end up I had met a gentleman. His name's Steve Hendon. He's a business coach now, so shout out to Steve Hendon. I brought him in as, look, teach me what do I need in my business. And one of the first things he says, because we used to keep everything on Excel spreadsheets, and I thought, I was like, man, I could do this. Excel spreadsheets were great, right? But then he's like, well, and he goes, you need software. If you don't have the software, you're not going to be able to scale or grow your business. And I said, well, can you find me can you research the software? I don't know anything about software. And he brought me a couple of options, and we went with this software company that's specific to the paper converting industry. So this the software, so that software that we've been able to work with is very, very, very valuable to my clients, because they're able to see exactly how many rolls they have, how many pounds they have, what are the sizes of each individual roll, how much it weighs, what's the color. It's got so many different things that over the years we've been able to develop. And for the most part, if we didn't have that software, and not only that, the people that work here that did it, I can't take any of the credit. I was just kind of like the mastermind, like, okay, let's do this, let's do that, and then we sell that service. But really, the employees here, the management that was able to run with it and develop it and kind of make it to where it is now, has been a very important part of our business. So I know this is it's a very winded question, but then you have the equipment just to handle the materials is huge, something that not a lot of people can do. Now you got the software aspect. Once you get the material, you have to put it in a format that you can share that information that people can use, so they can know what they have. And then the most critical thing beyond that, everything's critical, right? But we have the equipment that cuts the paper to these very specific sizes and dimensions. And there's some people that can rewind, and then there's some people that can sheet. We're basically in Texas. We're like the only company that can do the rewinding and the sheeting and the software and the management of their whole. It's like a turnkey type of a thing for other businesses. So they rely on us. These companies really do rely on us as part of their supply chain. And if we fail, they're not going to be happy, and they're going to lose business. So we have to be on our game every single day. And it sounds easy, but it's pretty complicated. The people that we have here on staff are highly trained, and they know what they're doing. And it takes months and months and months, sometimes a year, just to get somebody up to speed on how to enter the orders and how everything runs, because there's just so many nuances to this to the paper.
I can only imagine. I had an episode where I worked on CNC machines, but it wasn't
Okay.
for paper, but I mean, similar. It was a furniture industry. So we'd get and cut essentially wood into pieces to build custom furniture and kitchen cabinets and what have you. So I can only imagine what the complexity behind it, and that you need multiple machines to operate it. Now, other than that software that you've implemented successfully, are there any innovations that you're looking forward to implementing, or excited maybe that you've implemented it already? Any maybe artificial intelligence type of innovations that you're looking at?
This The paper industry, as far as adding automation and adding robotics and adding AI, it's not there yet. It's still a very uh, old school industry with very the machines are more modern, but it's basically the same concept. Nothing much has changed in terms of the production part of it, and it is there's certain types of paper that you can do that with, but our business there's so many different types of paper companies out there, and our model is not something that we can work with that would apply to that. Mm, the things that it's more on the administrative side, the marketing side, the sales side. I think that's where AI brings a tremendous amount of value to a company like mine. Using the CRM systems that manage the data and really just being able to use all that data of all those with the customers, with the types of paper, the sizes, where the customer's located, what they buy, and we're able to really drill down on very specific clients and be able to create model very accurate sales forecasts. And that's something that technology really helps on that side. And where do you want to get to? Really you want to get into sales. Where do you want your sales? So obviously, let's say you're at $1 million a month, right? Well, what's your next goal? Well, I really want to get to 1.5 million, because you're not going to go from 1 million to 2 million, right? You gotta be realistic here. So that's kind of how you use technology and AI to really start looking at your customer base and seeing who your customers are, and then what other similar customers are in the industry or the market that perhaps that you're not calling on. So it really helps with that. And I'll give you an example. AI now, there's technology out there where you teach the robot or the AI or whoever in the CRM to, hey, find me all the printers in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, in the surrounding states, or California, or wherever. And then AI will go and find them and send emails directly. It'll scan LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, the websites, and just kind of figure out who the buyers are and start sending emails that are very specific to certain types of printers, and then it offers those products. So you got somebody working basically for free around the clock. But I haven't gone that route yet, but it's something that I know that exists, but we haven't taken the plunge on that. But we rely a lot on technology to run our administrative side and our sales side.
Yeah, it's one of those industries that you can still run out without AI. It's fascinating, I guess you can say, but it's AI is definitely changing all industries because it affects all industries, but it's also confusing in so many different ways because there's so many things, like you can't keep up with the news every single day, multiple times during every single day. There's so many different updates, changes, and something new, revolutionary, new approaches to everything, that one could think that all we have to do is sit back, relax, go somewhere to Puerto Vallarta and just enjoy the life and
Yeah,
let AI operate.
let them run the business. Let AI run the business.
Exactly. It's not going to happen that quickly, and it's definitely not going to happen for 8 billion people on the planet. There's no space in Puerto Vallarta to do that. Now, you already told us what you would advise your younger self on. Now, what's the next big milestone for you or for the company that you're trying to reach?
I think now it's going to be more growth in terms of sales volume and reaching out and getting those the customers, getting new customers. Remember what I was telling you at the beginning, learning from my mistakes, from opportunities and relationships that I've had over the years, and maybe I didn't nurture them the way I should have. I kind of took them back then. I might have taken them for granted, like, oh, there's going to be another customer like that, and now I'm really focused on our customers and how much I really appreciate them giving us the opportunity, giving us the orders. What else can I do for you? What other products can I offer you, my my beautiful customer that I love so much? So just one is definitely nurturing those, making sure that they're happy, and then we're getting them the products that they need when they need it at a price that they can live with and they can make money. Because at the end of the day, my commodities business, it's all business to business, business to business. So in order for me to be successful, my customers have to be successful. And I love nothing more than for my customer to be a heck of a lot more successful than me, because that means they're going to pay me and they're going to be happy to write me that check.
Okay.
So that's really where I'm focused on that, and we're adding more product line, but we're being very careful as well as far as how we grow, because now the equipment that we're bringing online, and the partnerships that we're working with is just part of adding more products, and adding bottom line dollars revenue, and then hopefully there's going to be some additional profits. But I feel like we're in a good position right now because so many people know who we are. Our business is very cyclical, and the reason it's cyclical because it goes with the economy.
Mm.
If the economy is doing good, and we are absolutely killing it. That's when I go to Puerto Vallarta. But the economy has not been good in a long time, so I have not. I'm not gonna kid you, but I've worked harder in the past 3 years than I think I ever have in my life. That's how
Wow.
challenging things have been since you know COVID and all that. It's been very just with the market and the economy just kind of going like this, and then it goes up a little bit. But we're definitely not up here.
What do you think is needed for the economy to go back to where it was, or maybe even exceed?
Well, one of the big problems that we do have is that we have this huge deficit. As United States is not the only one that has a tremendous amount of debt, and until we figure out a way to control that, since as a country, as countries, we cannot spend more money than we take in tax dollars, or maybe it's not tax dollars, it's tariffs, or whatever, which is a tax anyway. But that's another conversation. But I think that's hurt us. That's hurt us because as a country, even though we are the biggest economy in the world, we're still negative. And if it wasn't for the U.S., the dollar being the world's currency, we would definitely not be in the situation that we're in now. So that's not something that's going to be fixed overnight. And maybe this is the new reality. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Hopefully not. Hopefully there will be some positive changes happening, and maybe more manufacturing in the United States, meaning more need for packaging, and more need for papers, and more need for businesses like yours, hopefully.
You know what? That's really, I think should head that way, and I think we're going to see better times. We're definitely going to see better times, and I don't know if this is going to fix what's happening as far as the government and how much money we spend as a country. So maybe I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to be a pessimist, but it seems like we've kind of dug a really deep hole, and maybe there's a way to get out of it. I don't know. I hope you're right.
Yeah. It's obviously hard to influence what's happening on the very top, and hopefully this will start shifting into the right direction. But like you said earlier, it's not just U.S., but it affects many different countries. I mean, in Europe, different continents as well. Where I'm from, there's a bunch of different different challenges as well that are happening over the last years, maybe even a decade. So I feel like I just what else there is than to be optimistic and hopeful. There's not much we can do. Just doing your best. You're showing your hard work and dedication by being so late on Friday, a long weekend, Friday afternoon, and you're still there in your work attire working. So we with that as that dedication and work ethic, we should be able to get back on our feet and start having a strong economy again and thrive.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to understanding your business, and this is what I sell, and this is what I could sell it at. So I really need my cost to be under what I sell it at, and you can stay in business, and you have to be able to manage that, really work with those numbers and understand those numbers. Going back to my son Benjamin, that I gave him the option to go to college or not to go to college, and he's a natural sales guy, natural. And I said, Ben, you need to know how a business runs, and in order for you're just a natural entrepreneur. Actually, both of them are. They kind of remind me of me, because they go out there and they do like Depop, and they thrift, and they sell stuff, and they make money in new ways that obviously that they're using, that they know, and how to market themselves. They're natural. It's easy, and it's probably easy for you as well to put yourself out there and make some things happen. And I said, look, go and get an accounting degree. Just do it, because you need a discipline, and at least you're not. That doesn't mean that you're going to be an accountant, but you need to know how money is made in a business, because you can have the best idea in the world, but if your overhead is higher than what you're selling and you're losing money, you're not going to be in business for very long. So that's something that really keeps me awake at night. If there's anything that keeps me awake at night, is that, during difficult times, you really have to watch your numbers in your business, because when business is good, volume is good, and you got a tremendous amount of business, which we're getting there. It seems like for us, it's getting better, thanks be to God, compared to where it had been 6 months ago. But that's definitely a good sign for the economy. But just knowing that's going to be very important to understand those numbers, and that's a recipe for success. And obviously the hard work, like you said, like just being here, getting up early, working on the weekends. I don't recommend it, but at the same time, if you're going to take on that responsibility of being an entrepreneur and having 25, 50, 75, 100, 200 people that work for you or work for the company, and that's, at the end of the day, the buck stops with me, because if I fail, man, a lot of people lose their jobs, and a lot of people are going to be disappointed, and they're probably check this out, they're probably going to go work for my competitors, and then they're going to talk about how stupid I was.
Hopefully not. Hopefully you will not get there.
Hopefully that's not the case. It hasn't happened yet. Thank God.
Do you think Benjamin and his brother are going to join you once they graduate?
Benjamin, definitely. I think he is. He's doing like a little. He starts on Monday here. He really likes it. Yeah,
Memorial Day?
he's been working here. Excuse me.
On a Memorial Day, it's a long weekend.
Oh no, actually Tuesday. Sorry. And so he's definitely interested in the business. He's worked here since he was 14 years old. He worked with my father in the warehouse. I've got a nephew here that's also about to graduate from college, and he works here. So they really like the relationship part. They've grown in the business, and they understand the equipment and the paper and all that. So they really like it. So it sounds like they are. But my other son, Cruz, he's more. I think he can be more like an investment banker, private equity. He's really really smart. That kid is smart, and I think, like, look, please do not come to the paper business. I think you could do so many other things. And then if one of these days you're extremely successful, and then you and your brother want to partner up and do something big, maybe you guys can. But man, I don't think I'm for at your level. I think you can go on and to bigger and better things than to be losing sleep like I do over, with the things that I worry about.
Yeah. And 14 is a good age. I started working with my dad when I was 14 as well, and was a good time. I wish we were able to continue, but yeah, life went a different way. But it was a good times. We did work. I just did work for like 5 6 years together with my dad.
What were you doing?
We were so it was a moving company in Germany. So I was joined him. It was a lot of physical work. I was working there usually after school on the weekends and like holidays. So we were driving all around Europe and move people from place to place and carry some everything from the house or apartment. You have a lot of apartments in Europe more than houses, so we would carry everything from one apartment to another city and do that all over again. So it was fun for me because I was into working out and it was like a good workout for me. I even took my dog who's still here with us, and he would run with me the stairs, and we would just run. I would run instead of walk. I would run the stairs and carry all those refrigerators, washing machines, put together like all those furniture that they had, tables, everything. So it was fun, and yeah, it was a good memories for sure.
Yeah, and I agree. I think 14, 13, 15, to start working and start learning and start doing something. If anything, you're already thinking the right way. You're already kind of like curious about work, so that's always a good sign to start working at a young age. Even though you're not gonna, it's just something. If anything, out of curiosity, like you make a little bit of extra money, get some exercise, and I think those are things. Those are for long term recipe for long term success.
Yeah, definitely. You mature much faster, and you take responsibility for yourself and maybe someone else as well early. And you're definitely thinking out of the box when you start doing that earlier than anyone else. And I mean, some people start at 26 when they graduate, or 25. I don't know. So
Yeah, yeah, they're learning at 26 what you learned when you were 14.
exactly, it could be a form of further education, but more challenging, I guess. But yeah, Rogelio, thank you so much for your time spending this afternoon with me. I know it's later for you than it is for me because you're 2 hours ahead of us here in California. But it was a fantastic conversation. I look forward to catching up in the near. Thank you again, and good luck with.